I'm starting to get to a point where I'm like, well, clearly you don't want to rein it in. Like, I'm talking to myself, but maybe
Yeah,
you too, because
me
I
too.
narrate books, I write plays, and I'm writing TV pilots now too, and trying to find my way into that world because it's all storytelling and it's all stuff
Yeah.
that I adore. And I love that it's making me a flexible storyteller. Um, that said, sometimes I'm like, man, if I was just focused on this one part of the industry, maybe I'd be like guns ablazing. Um, but that's not what I want. I want the flexibility and I want the excitement of being a part of a bunch. So I think we should leave ourselves alone and follow our guts.
I tell myself that all the time. Like, I'm in books, I'm in travel, I'm in mom stuff, I'm in food. Pick one. But I can't pick one
Because
because
you're
I
you're
love
in
them
life.
all. I love them
Yeah.
all.
And honestly, I'm learning that's what draws people to you, if you come to them with your fullness. Like, in this TV world that I'm dabbling in now, they're hiring people to be in this TV writers' room because of what you just said. "Oh, well, this is a show that, we need a good writer, obviously, but she really needs to understand cooking. She needs to understand food and wellness," and so they'd be like, "Well, let's talk to this Amy gal because she does all," you know?
Yeah.
So embracing all that because we're supposed to be curious. We're supposed to be living our
Yes.
lives expanding as we go, or we'd be done
Yes.
already.
I am on my curiosity soapbox lately, so you have like we totally lose that as moms and as responsible adults, quote unquote, you know? So,
Mhm.
oh, oh, you're
Well,
hitting my heart right here.
I have a theory about curiosity too, that when we lose it for each other, relationships get rough when we think we know who the other person is, and not just our romantic partners, but the people that raised us, the people that
Yes.
we're raising. They're not fixed beings, so how can we stay curious and ask questions? And you got a podcast, you know about asking questions.
And we're going to talk about all these things because your podcast is also all about play and all about getting into that side of ourselves and unlocking that, right? Which is,
Yeah.
again, you're speaking to my soul. So,
This is great. I love soul
yeah.
speak in the middle of the day.
How often do we forget the importance of play and curiosity as moms? Today's guest has narrated over 800 audiobooks. She's won 7 Earphone Awards, written a USA Today bestselling rom-com trilogy, produced plays that are performed all over the country, and is the host of the My Job is to Play podcast. Erin Mallon is who we're talking with today about her narration journey, the courage it takes to write your own stories, and what it really looks like to build a creative life on your own terms. She lives in New York City with her husband and 3 J's. Grab your coffee or tea, friends. It's going to be a good one. So, welcome, Erin.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I am going to ask first because in your bio, I was reading it and I went, oh my gosh, I love that she said she lives with her husband and the 3 J's.
Yeah, I know.
I'm guessing
Yeah.
those are your children?
They are my children. I never intended to name my children the same letter.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't a thing. I could go into the boring story of how it happened, but I won't, I guess. But now I'm their names are Jet, June, and Jiva, and their names fit them perfectly, and I adore them, and they're named just right. I still have this funny thing when people are like, "Oh, so all J's?" I'm like, "Yep, mhm." And then I'm like, they don't want my spiel on how it happened, but it happened, and I'm thrilled. It's all good.
Well, I giggled because we have really good friends that have 3 kids and they're the M's, so they call them the M&M's.
Well, that's funny.
And,
That's funny.
I don't know how intentional it was at the beginning or from the beginning, but at some point,
Yeah.
they're like, "Yeah, we gotta keep this going."
Well, I won't ever say this to around my youngest, but when we found out we were having a third, my husband was the one that said, "Well, we need to find a J name," and I was like, "That makes me not want to have a third," because I didn't want that. I didn't want the feel of my collection of children. That said, they're all J's, but their names are very meaningful to us, and they each have depth to them that's exciting to us outside of the J's. That's just the forward-facing J.
Side note, when we were thinking about children names, I thought Jet was a really cool name, but
Oh,
I was also trying to do things that my parents could pronounce easily in Japanese and all the
okay.
things that kind of translate across, right? So it was not a name that we picked, but my older one is a J name. Names are such a hard responsibility as a parent.
They are, but well, all writers have to do it, but I'm a playwright, and I feel like I'm naming characters all the time, so I have so much fun with it. But my husband is Korean, and we did a similar thing with our daughter's name, June. It's Joon, not the month, because we're in Korean culture, June, Oon is more common, but typically for, a masculine name. Um, but, we do what we do. We do what we do.
We
It
do what
works.
we do. And
Yeah.
now they have stories for their names. And
Yeah.
alas, I love it. The three J's, your husband and the three J's.
Indeed. Indeed.
Okay, so for people that have never met you before, can you share a little bit of your quick story? I shared a little bit of your bio in the intro, but can you share a little bit about your journey of how you came to where you are with all the different things that you're juggling?
Yeah, so I started well, if I go way back, I started out as a dancer and, wanted to dance my whole life, and then I auditioned for my first musical because I just wanted to dance in the musical, and I happened to get an understudy part for a role, and I had one performance during this, like, 1 week of shows. I got one performance, and people didn't even buy tickets. You told your friends to come because it was, like, a Wednesday night, but it was so nice that they let us perform the role, and I had the best time of my life, and I just felt like, "Wow, this is what life is like when you get to speak a role and inhabit it that way." So I kept dancing, but I started auditioning for plays, and then went to school for theater and spent all of my 20s, on stage, just auditioning for plays and being in plays. And two things happened while I was in all those plays. They were mostly downtown new plays in New York City. So I was always around playwrights because they were workshopping the plays for the first time, they were rewriting, and I loved that process so much. It took me a minute to realize I wasn't just wanting to please the playwright and do a good job as an actor. Obviously, I wanted that, but I realized I actually wanted to be the playwright, and then started writing my own plays. But at the same time, I had an agent who started sending me out for voiceovers, and I was doing a lot of commercials and realized I loved just the process of being in the booth. I loved this short form storytelling at the microphone. And then I started thinking, well, with all my training as an actor on stage and now training as a voice actor in commercials, how could I combine them and do long form storytelling behind a mic? And so, fun thing happened. I was teaching yoga as like a side hustle. That doesn't make it sound as great as it was. I loved it. That's how I met my husband. I love yoga. I still practice yoga, but I started teaching for a little bit. And one of the people that was in my class was Gabra Zachman, who is a well-known audiobook narrator, and she was already established. And so, as a narrator, so we started doing a swap where I would do a lesson for her, a yoga one-on-one, a private, and then she would coach me behind her microphone and give me some tips. And she got me my first audition at Audible. So then. Narrating audiobooks and writing plays started to happen simultaneously. And then it wasn't for quite a while later that I took another little pivot and started writing romantic comedy novels. I'd narrated a couple hundred of them and I'd written lots of funny plays. So it felt like time to maybe see if I could do that too. But it's funny. It's like, do I rein myself in? Do I stay in my lane? Like, whatever. We all have we can try things. If you're lucky, life is long. And it opened up a whole world. So I'm glad I did it.
Love this on so many levels. I have, I don't know, I look back on my life and a lot of them are, let's just try this thing. It sounds fun. And here we are talking about books and narration and all the things. And I just thought, I'm just going to start a YouTube in COVID just
Why
because,
not?
I never
Yeah.
thought I was going to be a YouTuber or a podcaster or any of these things. I'm still doing my day job, corporate world life. but
Mhm.
I get to do these other fun things and you never know where they lead, just like you said. You're teaching yoga and learning voiceover and
Mhm. And it led
look
to
where it
stuff.
goes.
And
Mhm.
you can't plan that either. Like, I think you can have really clear intentions and you can have desires and you can make plans and you should. I never knew I was gonna get my first audiobook job through teaching yoga and meeting that you can't plan that stuff. But I think if you stay open and you stay curious, life is doing that all the time. It's always giving you planting little seeds and saying, "Hey, look over here. Look over here. Have you thought about this?" I think that's life's way of working on you.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, this happened really because of one conversation. So I was talking to Julia Whalen, right? And she also writes stories. A lot of narrators that I have talked to do not write stories, right? And so she
mm,
went, "Oh, Erin Mallon writes this really funny
she's so sweet.
story as well." So I went, "What? She writes too?" So it just kind of opened up these avenues in my brain because I've heard you before. I've listened to your
Right.
audiobooks before. I just did not know until I went down this other rabbit hole. So I'm so glad these little nuggets of speaking to people and doors that open. And then I reached out and went, "Erin, do you want to talk to me?" And you were absolutely gracious and lovely. So
Julia was so sweet because she wrote her "Thank You for Listening" book I think she must have been working on it while My These Walls Can Talk was coming out, because a book takes longer than a 2-hour play, obviously. Um, and so she let me know that she was also writing something about the world of being a romance audiobook narrator, but she purposely didn't listen to mine because she wanted to make sure that it wasn't just getting in somehow. She was really doing but she was so sweet because obviously her book did very, very well. And she'd be on all these interviews and she'd say, "By the way, another narrator author wrote about this topic too." She's very kind. So
and
very
it's
sweet.
fabulous because it is one of those things that we just don't know that much about. And as you hear some of these stories, you know they're true, they're are based on
Yes.
truth, I should say, and we love seeing that sneak peek behind the curtain. And I love these
Well,
conversations because we get to know you all better.
yeah, and the reason it happened, this is such a good lesson for me. I was out having some drinks with some theater friends, mostly actors, and they were asking me how my plays were doing and what I was writing at the time. And so I was telling them a couple projects that I was working on that were in various stages of ready and not ready. And they were kind of interested, but then they said to me, "How's the audiobook narration going?" Because that's not their world at all. And I started saying stuff that I had no idea was interesting because it was just life. I was talking about pseudonyms and male co narrators and listeners and boundaries and all these things. And they're like, "Why aren't you writing a play about that?" And I was like, "Why aren't I writing a play about that?" So I did. And then I wrote 2 more and it found a really nice following and we had a blast. So I'm trying to be more open to that now. We don't know what's interesting about us for the most part. We don't know what other people don't know because we know it. And we also don't know what we don't know. It's a whole thing. Um, so I'm trying to stay open to that these days. Things that I think are just a given or normal that might be interesting to someone else who lives a different day-to-day life, and write about
Okay,
that.
this is funny because on my This Japanese American Life YouTube channel, I had no clue the how to pick the right rice to use in Japanese food would be this huge video
Wow.
that people loved because to me it's so basic and it's so everyday part of my life. But people
Sure.
are like, "Oh, I didn't know." To your point of you don't know what is interesting or helpful to people until someone
Mhm.
says you should do that or, all the comments or whatever it might be. So you just never
Totally.
know, people. You just never know.
Yeah, and I think we were circling back to curiosity again. Noticing what other people are curious about you can
Yeah.
give you a good guidance to, "Maybe I should try this," if it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so tell me about some of the spin-offs or, the
Oh,
multiple
yeah.
books that came after because you were starting with one and then you started writing people. Is
Yeah.
that
Yeah, well, so the first one I wrote, I wrote it I finished the first draft in February 2020. So it was the month before the world changed for a while. And so I had a reading. I only ever intended it to be in the theater. I wasn't quite writing for the book community yet because I guess I felt firmly there as a narrator and was staying in my lane. So I had it in my theater world. We had a great first reading. And then COVID happened and people were on lockdown. And I came up with this idea. What if I got some of my actual narrator friends and we performed this play online for the book community while they're home and have some fun? And so we did that on Oral Fixation on Facebook and we had a great time. And I had all these people in my DM saying, when are you going to put it on Audible so I can always listen to it? So that's a great idea. So we did an official production and it went really well. We had a blast. And the idea for the next part of the story came. So I wrote These Walls Can Talk 2, and then These Walls Can Talk 3, Rise of the Machine, which was, what's the word, prescient? It was about an AI that his name is Artie Smarts, played by the wonderful Jason Clarke. Um, and so people are like, Jason was a little too good. I was like, I know, but what's he gonna do? Be bad? He can't do that. Um, yeah. But so then after that, at the 3-year anniversary of writing that trilogy, I put together a Kickstarter so people could get a fancy book with all 3 plays and take it to book events and get all those great narrators to sign it. And as something extra special, one of the highest tiers, I had 10 people could basically commission me to write them a 10-minute These Walls Can Talk spin-off play and put them in the play. So I interviewed all 10 of those people separately. I came up with an idea for the play. They told me which narrators they wanted to have as part of theirs. And then they recorded them with us after I wrote them. And we had a big narwhal party. It was a blast. Yeah. Never saw that
Love it.
coming.
Yeah. Again, these things that we never expected, you just say, okay, let's see where this thread leads. And
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
You talked about the narrator community a little bit. So can you share more about that? Yeah. Or what do
Great.
you
I mean,
love most? Yeah.
well, some of my dearest friends are narrators. Another thing I didn't there's always a theme that emerges in podcast interviews. Just yeah. Um yeah, some of my dearest friends, we talk all day, every day, basically. We're all alone in our little booths, but then we'll take a break between chapters and suddenly there's 13 texts here and and they have questions, not questions, but has this ever happened to you? I'm doing this chapter and we like talk shop and it's great. We need that because I think creativity in general, you have to feel connected to do it well. And it's also very isolating if you don't reach out to other people. So I feel very grateful to have the relationships that I have with other narrators and with authors too. Um, and listeners. I mean, it's a whole ecosystem, right? And when it works well, it's beautiful. When boundaries are crossed and things get sticky, it's tough. But that's life and that's humans, right? I think all we can do is focus on the energy that we ourselves are putting out. So I'm always looking at my own behavior and um yeah, just what I'm putting into the world and always trying to do better. I think if we
And
all do
then,
that, we'll be fine.
yes, that would be
Yeah.
amazing. And I love hearing these connections because to your point, it can be very isolating in a booth. And I always love seeing people's where are they? Because they're usually recording with me from their booth. The fact that you all stay connected, that you all get to share in all the highs, the lows, all the things that you get to learn from each other. I love that. And I truly believe that we are not meant to live alone. We're meant to be in
Yeah.
community. So the fact that you get to do that and to be encouraged by one another is huge. I know, I think I just talked to Chloe Ryan too, who's another narrator, and
Oh,
she had said she has like a video open sometimes where they're keeping each other accountable because she's like, oh my gosh, I'm in here for however many hours. So sometimes she just
yeah.
has this open loop with the people she is, you know, connecting
I've
with.
done
And
that for,
yeah.
writing sprints. I've never done it for
Ooh.
narrating. I think the newer generation of narrators that's come in the recent years are really, using technology in a way that maybe we didn't. Like, I did my first book in 2010, so it's been a minute. Um, And so it's interesting to watch them and see how they're doing like live records on TikTok and 4 little squares and they're all narrating and you can only hear the one narrating, but the other 3 are narrating to their feeds. It's wild.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's cool. I mean, I think people should do what makes them feel good and authentic. And I think I like the privacy of doing my work and then putting it out. But I see benefits to both. I think
Yeah.
it's great.
I think there's like audio and things are off, right? But then to know that someone else is doing it alongside you. And these are like your work pods or, all the things. And I hear you as a millennial mom, elder millennial mom. There are things that I need to get on top of in tech, or people just do things very differently. But it's a lot of
Yeah.
fun to see how other people do things.
Well, I also this is probably, cheesy because it's, I think, in the zeitgeist right now, but this idea of going back to analog, um, people using DVDs instead of streaming and, well, listen, I love to write hand on paper, pen and paper. I type a ton, obviously, but if I'm stuck, if I don't feel like I'm remembering my impulse in the scene that I'm writing, if I put hand to pen to paper, it's back because it's just more like primal. It's more connected for me. So I think in general, yes, I will embrace every tech thing that I need to embrace, and I'm down. But I feel most like myself when I stop layering that on top of myself. I could hear myself better when I get rid of all the bells and whistles and just get back to what am I writing? What am I saying? What am I performing?
I hear you. I am trying to be off my phone more, and some of that is now like putting a actual book next to my bed so that when I
Mhm.
go to sleep, wake up, I'm using an actual book and then I don't. The bonus is that with audiobooks, I will not sleep because I'll keep listening and then I stay up way too late. So I need to, that's something I need to stop. And so I've kept my headphones and my phone out of the bedroom. But alas,
I know plenty
writing
of people that
also, yeah.
use audiobooks to sleep,
That
to
is
go to
not
sleep.
me. Yeah.
I know a lot of people that do that, and then it's so funny because they'll say to you, "Oh, I go to sleep with you every night," or "You help me go to sleep." I'm like, "That's intimate and cool, and I'm happy for us." But also, you have this thing in the back of your head, "Wait, I'm trying to tell you a compelling story, and I'm snoozing." No, you're falling, but
Yeah.
whatever. We're
I mean, it
comforted by
depends
what
how
we're
tired I
comforted by.
am, but usually I'm the one that's like crying and bawling and trying not to be like, because my husband's sleeping next to me. you know?
Got
And
it.
then I go, oh my gosh, I can't wake up tomorrow. Mm, gotta put it
Yeah.
away. But yeah. Well, okay. Speaking of books that make you laugh, cry, whatever, all the things, because I am a feeler, I read or listened to Flirtasaurus
You're
recently.
so cool.
And we're gonna talk about this series because
Let's talk about it.
I am nothing like Calliope. So there were parts where I was going, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. I would never do that. Or, all these professional settings where I'm just like, I want
Yeah,
to
yeah,
go
yeah.
hide all the things.
Right.
But I also admire her for being so her,
I
and
feel
there are
the
also,
same way.
yeah, yeah,
Continue,
there,
but I feel the same way.
there's always these things where I'm like, man, I wish I could be more like these people, that say their thing and just are very boldly them. But I also felt very called out in a few things, like the sorry, women saying
Oh,
sorry.
mhm.
I'm working on that,
Yes.
Erin. I am working on it. But it is so
So,
true.
for people listening, you say sorry too much, you're saying?
Yes.
Or when a
Or,
sorry isn't really warranted. You didn't do anything
yeah,
wrong.
like if we talked over each other, I will automatically say, oh, sorry, sorry, you go ahead,
Mhm.
or, and in a lot of cases, to me, I'm like, sorry is polite. But women do say sorry a heck of a lot more than men in the same
Absolutely.
situations. Yeah.
Absolutely. Sometimes I would do anything to get a sorry from a man. I give me that it will soften me so much. Tell me you're sorry, and then we'll talk about everything. But sometimes you need that because sometimes people are sorry, but they won't say it um, until you hammer down all this stuff. We can start with that, and then we're open to each other. But yes, to Calliope's point and your point, sometimes women lead with it, and I think it's actually a defense, and it comes from, let me not be too much. Am I too loud? Am I too ambitious? Am I too excited? Am I too whatever? I see that and hear that come out of women's mouths so much, myself included, though I've been working on it. I know I'm a lot. I know I'm too much about. I know I'm really. I don't hear men say that about themselves, and
Yeah.
only very rarely do I hear people say that about men. Um, so yeah, so I went real extreme with Flirtasaurus. Calliope is in your freaking face. She is too much. She is purposely too much. Would I write a heroine that in your face again? Probably not. I'm so thrilled I did it though. And I'm so happy that then I wrote Flirtasaurus, then Lovebug, then Sharkbait. Those are the three main books in the natural history series. But then the fourth, I decided to do the natural history novellas. And it's three novellas, Flirtin', Buggin' and Baitin'. Yeah. And it's 2 years into each couple's happily ever after. So I got to return to Calliope and I got to write when she's happy and in love. Spoiler, she falls in love with Ralph and they get together. Um, you get to see them in the future. And that was so fun for me to return to her, keep her who she is, but now she feels safer and now she feels more relaxed into life. And that was such a joy to return to her and give her her due. For her haters, I wanted to return to her for sure.
Oh, I have such a journey to go on because I'm on number 1. I gotta go through the rest, but I was giggling, I was laughing, I was also
Oh,
embarrassed.
good.
You gave me all the feels, of what I was supposed
Good.
to feel, so enjoyed it all around. There's a new project that has launched. Can you share
Yeah.
about your fun project?
Yeah, so it's cool. It's new, but not. It's the natural history series. I wanted to return to this because it's my first complete series as a writer. I wanted to return to it and kind of celebrate it. And so I have it right here on my lap. So this is a big,
Show
beautiful
us.
book. Yes, look how she glimmers. So this is the annotated natural history series, the special edition. So basically, I got to return to all four of these first books of mine, and I annotated the hell out of it. So I take you on a ride in the margins. I don't know if you can see on here, and there's all these notes in the margins, and it's me going through the book and telling you giving you all the scoop, basically. What I was thinking when I wrote the scene, what my intention was here, how I would do something differently now. This is where I was planting the seed for that. And oh God, you got to read book 3 because you're going to find out what this means in book 3. And it's just a blast. So it's like me hanging out with you while you read and flip through. And it's got really cool um, the original,
Sides. Yeah.
the original art on the sides. And so the back take up space. Because yes, we have some astronomy stuff, especially in the first book. They're all women in STEM, so they all have science careers. But I realized as I was reading back these books, now having some space from them, each one of these heroines takes up space in very different ways. They do it with their authenticity. And there may be someone that thinks they're too much, but they're existing in their full selves, like I think men are naturally allowed to. I want to write female characters who can do that and still be loved and still go on journeys and change and reflect. That's the ride, right? So take up space. I'm working on that.
Oh, preach, my friend, preach,
Yes.
because
Hmm.
I think I've been reflecting a lot on this, on my, Asian American journey of what I was told is like the good girl, good
Hmm.
woman, and what does that look like as I've grown and found my voice, and how do I want to come and present and also raise my children. I have 2 boys, so it's not from a female stance, but how do I want my boys to be? Because there's also a narrative around how men and
Yeah.
masculinity.
And how men
So,
perceive women.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
So,
You can
All these things have been things roaming in my brain rent free lately. So take up space. I love it. I love it. I love it. Can you talk
yeah.
more about the Kickstarter campaign? How can people kind of come find
Yeah.
you and
Thank
be
you.
part
Yeah,
of it?
so it just started. We're recording this today on the 5th of August. So we launched this morning. And so there's kind of something for everyone. There's the first tier is the ebook, so you get all for the whole collection in ebook, and then the next one is the ebook and the audiobook. So I narrated most of the books, and then we had Teddy Hamilton come in for the third book to do the dual POV with me. And then we have 3 male narrators in the novellas. So you get a little bit of all of us. And then the big tiers, what I call the storytelling tiers, similar to what I was telling you about with the plays for These Walls Can Talk. Now, the first two, the big ones, are gone. Within 3 minutes, people took the big tears. It was beautiful. I'm writing novellas for people. So I'm interviewing um, whoever the backers of this Kickstarter who want a story written for them. So the highest tier, I take you out to dinner. I interview the hell out of you. You tell me what you love about romance books. You tell me how you want to be perceived in life. And I write your fantasy workplace romantic comedy with you in the main role. And then I narrate it. And in some cases, I will get a male co-narrator. Um, there's a couple different versions of how you can do that, um, from a simple one that's shorter to all the bells and whistles for a 20K novella. So it's one of my happiest, dearest ways to spend my time is writing something I wasn't expecting to write, because I get to connect with you, the person across from me, and hear about your desires and your wishes and your hopes and your past and what gets you excited. And that works its way on me. And whatever gift or skill I have works on you, and we create something that never would have existed if we hadn't sat down and had this conversation. So that is my greatest joy, and it's happening. So it's really cool.
That is so fun. And I'm just going to go back to Flirtasaurus. And Friends was like a
Sure.
core part of
Yeah.
my like growing up life. Um, into adulthood. So there were scenes talked about there. There's music. There's all these
Oh
things
yeah.
that are referenced that I'm like, oh, this must be made for me.
No, and that's tricky sometimes too, because I have to remember, oh, but she's 28 and I'm not. So you have to put in little things like, oh, she's watching it on streaming now and she's doing it. But I also love a character who is all across the board generationally. Like they may be 28 or they may be 50, but they allow themselves to enjoy what they enjoy, not what they're expected to enjoy. So I don't have a problem with that, like bouncing around. I love seeing different generations interacting on stage, in books, and in their media habits too. Mm,
Yes, it is a beautiful thing. Multi generational. I'm all about that. Okay. Can
totally.
we talk about your podcast? Because
Oh,
it's the
sure.
importance of play. We have talked
Hmm.
about all those different topics of how it's important for us to be creative, to be open, to be able to say yes to these things that we never thought would come our way. So can you tell us how your podcast came to be and what people can learn from you?
Sure. Yeah, so the reason it's called My Job is to Play is because I have this very distinct memory when I was around 5 years old, not much older than that. Um, and we had a swing set in our backyard. I have two brothers, I'm in the middle. And I remember my dad, worked hard, didn't seem to particularly enjoy his job, work seemed to be like a stress. And my mom stayed home and took care of us, and I could tell she was working really hard doing that. And I had this like little kid epiphany when I was on the swing set, and I was like, right now my job is to play. That's the only thing anyone wanted from me. And I kind of recognized in that moment that it was a limited time offer. I thought that eventually I was going to have to get super, super serious about work, maybe doing work that I didn't want to do. And as I got older, I realized, no, 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 we have choices. We can choose to keep that playfulness as like a bedrock of our lives. That can be it. And we can find jobs, we can create a career from that. And for me, it's so, so important when I feel myself getting too serious. I go back to that and remember that. And it's important for me that my children see me playfully going about my job. So I started this podcast where I connect with other playful, creative people. So the first season, I talk to anyone that has a quote unquote creative job, and we talk about how to stay in the flow, how to find flow, how to, yeah, just do the thing you love when it becomes your job. Because there's highs and lows to that. And then the second season, I asked myself, who do I want to talk to? And I realized it was all female TV writers. That's who I was interested in. So I did a season that was all about writing for TV, and it was all female showrunners and writers. And now I'm on a little hiatus as I figure out what the third season wants to be. But yeah, I would love for people to go back and listen to those episodes. I miss it. I'm going to get back to it. I love it so much. These conversations are the best.
Oh, I love this because in my day job, I do spreadsheets and financy things, and it's shouldn't be creative. I won't say
Yeah.
it's not great, but it shouldn't be creative, you know? But I think that is why all the YouTube stuff and interviews and podcasts and helping moms and all this stuff came up during COVID, and it just became this flow of things. And for me, it was many conversations with fellow moms who went, how the heck do you do all the things that you do on top of your full-time job and being a parent and all these things? And it filled my
Yeah.
cup. It just really gave me a lot of joy, even though I stayed up too late creating this video or brainstorming, oh, what do I want to say? Or, all these things.
Yeah.
But there is something about like using your brain in a different way and having this fun energy and expressing yourself in a different way that's just really important.
And I think a lot of us believe that the extra, when everything gets done, then maybe we can enjoy
Yes.
something. And I fall into that trap all the time and have to remember that no, maybe the goal is to enjoy our lives. You can't always. I'm definitely not pro positivity in the face of terrible things. Like we got to feel what's real. But I do think we have a choice in where we place our focus. And when you were saying how people say to you, how do you have time to do this? All these different things. I hear that all the time as well. And I realize that for me, the biggest time suck in the world is self doubt. I can spend hours and not even realize that I've wasted hours in self doubt or scrolling on my phone. So when I notice that, if I cut out scrolling and self doubt, my whole world opens up and I got time to do all the things. Um, I think we often have more time than we realize, but we spend it doing things that aren't feeding us. And I think it
And for
starts
the
with
people,
believing you
yeah,
deserve it. Go ahead.
yeah. I was going to say for all the people that are in day jobs, because I talked about my day job like it's boring and it's, whatever. But I've been in it for so long and I've been in the team that I have for so long because I really love the people I'm around. And while the stuff you do might not be like super creative or super whatever, I always tell people find joy in the things that you are doing. And if you're not finding joy, or if it's a toxic environment, or if it's all these things, figure out a way to change things, be
Yeah.
bold, do something different. Be curious about where else you can kind of plug in because life's too short. We talked about this earlier, but life's too short to, you know, just
Hmm.
dredge through and be in a place surrounded by people that you don't like.
I think you should always shoot for the exact life that you want. Absolutely. And I think it's not all or nothing. While you're doing that, you can also find a way to want what you already have. And that I think for me is so key because most things I have in my life right now are things 10 years ago I would have given anything to have. So how to enjoy that, to really let yourself land while you continue to expand because that's the whole thing. But if you never
Yes.
recognize what's already here, then you never get to arrive, right? Whatever that means. Just be, I guess. You
Okay.
never get to just be.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is something I'm sitting with right now in this season of life also of, when I put my phone down, I can appreciate the things that are around me, the people around me, knowing that my children are not going to be tiny people forever and enjoying
Yeah,
these seasons of motherhood as they come. And
for sure.
yeah, that's important
Hmm.
to know that you're not
Right.
always going somewhere, but you can be present. You can be enjoying.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
I want to go back to the books that you have narrated because there have been tons, and we obviously can't talk about all of them. What is it, 800? 800 books
Yeah,
plus?
it's over 800 now. I'm not sure how many between me and my pseudonym, and then sometimes they take things off Audible that were there 10 years ago, but it's somewhere like maybe 850, something like that. It's a lot of books.
Okay, so you mentioned pseudonym. Can you talk about your pseudonym? Because I know a lot of romance narrators have pseudonyms, but you haven't used your pseudonym very much, or maybe they've been taken off or changed, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But in my little
Well,
sleuthing,
I like your sleuthing. You did your homework. So when I started narrating audiobooks, my very first book was a young adult book. And that is where I thought I was going to get traction. And that's where I wanted to work at the time. The second book I got was hardcore erotica. And I was like, okay, I think I need to do the pseudonym thing I've heard about early. So I came up with a pseudonym. And so to your point, yes, I think people have pseudonyms for a reason. You should assume they want them to be private. You should not out them. I am one of those people that is very open about mine, but not everyone is. So my pseudonym is Muffy Newtown. She's cheeky. I came up with that to do that first erotica book. And then I just started getting romance book after romance book after romance book. And the Muffy Newtown was not because I wasn't proud of that book. It was to keep it separate from the young adult book that I was doing. But then I realized if I'm gonna be working in romance as like my main job and genre, I want my real name on it because I am very proud of this work. So I started narrating almost everything under Erin Mallon, and Muffy became who I use for the darker fare. She does like the motorcycle romances and I honestly don't do too much dark stuff these days, which is why she doesn't pop out that often. But from time to time, she will. People are like, "Muffy's back." Well, yeah, she was needed on this one. Um, yeah. So yeah, for me, it's kind of a moot point because I'd say about 80% of what I narrate is romance. So it's just about um, the darker fare for Muffy. Yeah.
and this is like, it's rocking my world lately because I don't think I connected the dots between all the different people. And a lot of people are not hiding their
Uh-huh.
two
Yeah.
identities, So when I spoke to Teddy Hamilton recently, he was like, "Oh yeah, a lot of people don't know that I'm actually Andrew Iden." And even in our emails, I was like, I don't know what to call you. Do you want me to call you Andrew? Do you want me to call you Teddy?" Like So anyway, it's a funny thing of especially people that I think started in the 2010s time. Everybody was told you should have a pseudonym, and then now it's kind of flowed in different ways, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
But
It's kind of a
authors
funny.
have them
Yeah.
too, right? And maybe not most, but
Yes.
lots of authors use a pen name. I have an author friend. I know what her real name is, but she never goes by it. So I always call her author name. And she's like, if you called me my real name, I'd be like, what the hell are you doing? So I think you just got to know what your relationships are and what the person wants. And when in doubt, ask.
Okay. So how do you pick your projects? Because there are a lot of projects that you're balancing, all the things. You said 80% romance. How do you balance the genres, or is there more
I
that you want
don't,
to do?
I don't think that I do. Um, I think I started so long ago, and work begets work, that you get known for doing a certain kind of thing. And thankfully, what I do is what I love to do. So I'm thrilled every time I get a really great romantic comedy. That's what I want. And that's where I'm happiest narrating. I think a great rom com is why I became an actor because There's a lot of dialogue, there's a lot of humor, obviously. There's people needing things from the other person. There's banter, there's highs, there's lows, there's everything that you want to do as a performer. And yeah, I used to do a lot of sad plays. I was always the crying girl on stage. I love to cry too, but you always get a little sadness in a rom-com. Um, yeah, so I don't try to balance genres. I know a lot of narrators do. Like, I did this much romance this month. I would love to get a mystery now. I think maybe it's because I'm a writer as well, and I'm also dabbling in different mediums for writing. So I have a lot of storytelling variety in my life. When it comes to narration, I find the variety in like the different heroine that I'm getting to play. But I actually don't need variety in the genre. I love it.
So you mentioned Jason Clark earlier too, and I just saw a clip where you were narrating together, which doesn't happen very often, right? That you actually get to be in the same room with your co-narrator.
Mhm.
What do you love about being in the same room as your fellow narrators and being able to do that together?
Well, it feels like we're on stage again. The best part about
Mm.
being on stage is and the best acting, in my opinion, is they say acting is reacting. So he does something across from me on stage or in the booth. And if I'm present, if I'm really listening, it's affecting the way I respond back and forth and back and forth. It becomes this dance. And you do your best when you're in the booth by yourself. If you're doing a duet solo, say he's doing all his dialogue and you're doing all your dialogue. I know a lot of these male narrators enough now that I can imagine them. I'm hearing their voice in my head. I'm imagining how they would play, but I'm still imagining it, doing my best. And when it works out, it's great. But when he's right there, for me, it becomes the easiest work in the world because I just got to show up and listen and respond to him. And then if he's showing up and responding and listening to me, no one feels like they're working and somehow, hopefully, something lovely is happening. So it's the best. So fun.
It gets to happen more often. And are
Yeah.
there specific circumstances in which they do that? Because to
Budget,
your
baby.
point, it is fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So I
all
guess
about
like the
the
really
budget.
big books, I guess. Yeah. Mm,
Yeah, it's about the
got
budget,
it.
but it's that, mostly. And, what the author wants. There's a lot of, you've probably seen discourse these days about duet versus duel, um, and, people like what they like, and they're welcome to say that, but there's so much that goes into it, so much that goes into it. A lot of times budget, and also sometimes even the way a book is written. If, if there's a character, the female character, and it's important that she never voices him because there's a separation between them or something. There's subtle things that happen in a performance and in the writing that sometimes duel is better from the author's perspective, and sometimes duet is perfect. So yeah, it's mostly budget, but I think for the authors that are really being super thoughtful about how they cast, it also is an artistic choice. And it's nice when everyone can respect that moment of silence
Yes. All of that. Yes.
for the
Yes.
respect.
What is something that has changed in the industry that you want people to know about? Because you have been in the industry for a while and it has changed. And I know we talked about some of the things with the newer narrators and things being different, but is there anything in the industry that has changed that you're like, people, you might want to know about this?
Well, I think it's mostly the visibility and social media of it all. Um, I I'm down with social media. I do way too much social media probably. But I think in the past there was a real like workhorse mentality for people. We were just plugging away and doing our work and then showing up at a party and now it's like the party never stops because we're visible. Some more than others, some want to be more, some want to be less. But I think there's almost two ways you have to approach the business: the actual work that you're doing, and then how you're showing up around that work. And I think honestly, I don't think there's any right or wrong. I think people sense authenticity. I certainly think I sense that in people. And if someone is balls to the wall, out there doing everything, and it's them, and you feel that, that's attractive. That you lean closer because wow, that person is fully being themselves. And then someone else who's quiet and shows up once in a while, um, that's beautiful too. So I don't know if I have anything to say about what people should know now, just that there's the work and then there's the personality. And when those come together in a way that feels true, it's beautiful. And sometimes they pull and war at each other a little bit.
Yeah. What is we kind of talked about like boundaries and people, but what is the book that is most memorable to you, or perhaps one that people come to talk to you about at events or DM you about to say, oh my gosh, this was the book that changed my life, or whatever it might be?
Uh,
Um, what's the book that
the
people come to talk to you about most?
books that I narrate don't usually change people's lives. They hopefully, like,
Fair.
delight them, have the best time,
Yes.
laugh their ass off. That is great. I'm getting that a lot now with, Amy Dawes' Mountain Men series. Ton of people are listening to that and loving it and having a blast, and that's been so fun. Back in the day, Jana Aston's book, Wrong and Right, I got lots of people talking about the gynecologist scene in that one. Like, yeah, so fun. And then a series that rocked my world, 'cause it's a little bit different than I usually narrate, but, Ali Martinez's The Difference trilogy, that thing rocked my world. She's an incredible writer. Have you listened to these or read them? The Difference trilogy?
If not,
So good. That
now
woman
I'm
writes a
adding it to my
twist like
list.
please do. I think it's so special. When I was prepping that book, I was like, "Wait, what? What?" I was so psyched to get in the booth and narrate that thing. Um, I think she's a very special writer. Yeah.
Okay, so many things that I am adding to my list and coming back to. Are you ready for some quick fire questions?
Oh, yeah. Let's do it. I don't know
Okay,
what's gonna
we're
happen.
going to do just a few, but here we go. Do you read outside of your job? And if so, what are you reading now?
Yes, nonfiction. When I'm not it's all nonfiction. Let me look at my booth is in my bedroom now. Let me look what I'm reading right now. I'm rereading The War of Art. And, there's a Joe Dispenza book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I get real woo-woo and self-helpy, and The Mountain Is You is another one by Brienne Wiest. Yeah.
Know any of these? And so I was heavy, heavy nonfiction for such a long time. And then someone said, you want to read Akatar with me? This is a work friend. And then I
Is
went
that how you
hard
got
back
into all
into
this?
romanticy and
Yeah.
romance. Uh-huh. Yep.
That'll do it.
It was Akatar, Fourth Wing, and then I was gone back into all the fiction and give me all the things. So I talk about all the genres, but I'm going to go add these to my list as well. So
Fun.
excellent. What is a bucket list item that you would like to conquer next?
I wanna write for TV. That was definitive, wasn't it?
So you were
Boom.
inspiring me. Yes, yes. And I know that was I should have known because that's what we talked about. But I want to write a children's book. That's been
Nice.
on my dream list for a long time. I started like dabbling, but then life gets busy, and then I kind of put it on the side. But you were inspiring me to just do the thing,
Do
do
it,
it for
baby.
myself. Just do it. Yes.
Totally.
Next time we talk, I'm gonna be like, I made progress.
That's good. I won't do the thing where
You're
I'm like, "So how's your children's book?" And you're like, unless you want me to. Sometimes you want
you
accountability
can,
people to
you
be like,
can.
"I'll be 6." Okay, I'll be gentle, but I'll
Yes.
ask. Even if you
Yes.
have, like, a
Okay.
page or an outlined character, that's something.
Just more than before, I
Exactly.
have a list of ideas of like what would I want to tell my kids or what would I want to pass on. Anyway, your
Yeah.
favorite thing to do with your family.
We have something every night at 7:30, we have magic hour, which is my motherly way of saying none of us can have screens anymore, and we can do anything except look at an individual screen. So we can watch a movie or a TV show together, but it has to be like a group activity. So we've been playing Monopoly and other games, and card games, and my daughter just got a detective game where you have to solve this crime we've been doing that. So yeah, I love magic hour with my family. It's good.
Magic hour. I love that, like, sound of that. Yeah, I love it. Okay, last one is, what is one thing you love doing just for you?
Um, There's a reservoir near my house. It's a like an 8-minute drive, and it's this beautiful a mountain and this body of water. And I go there and I walk. It's surrounded by trees. I used to go and bring my laptop and sit and write a chapter, then walk and sit. And I still do that sometimes, but now I just every day go drop the kids at school and just walk. And I kind of talk to the trees and I look at the ducks and I see some turtles, and it gets me in a good mind frame for the day. So, it sounds like an old lady thing, but I love my morning nature walk, Amy.
Okay, so I just talked to Carly Robbins also, and she loves long
Yay!
walks. So I know she's in New York too. A lot of you guys are in New York.
It's the
So
best thing for your brain.
anyway,
It's the best. You need it. Yeah.
getting outside, being in nature is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, where can people connect with you further? Because I know after I talk, they're gonna be like, I got to go look for Erin. How can I connect with her in all the
I'd
ways?
love it. Come find me. On Instagram, I'm at Mallon Erin. Right, Mallon Erin, yeah. On Facebook, I have a Facebook readers group that I'd love to have you in. It's called Erin Mallon's Feisty Fitsies. That is like a nod to Flirtasaurus. So you can join that. And what else? Those are my main places. I'd love for you to listen to the podcast, hop on and check out this Kickstarter. There's a lot going on. And my website, erinmallon.com.
We'll have all
Beautiful.
the links so that people can hop on over to all the different places. But anything else you want to leave our listeners with before we sign off?
Not really. This is lovely. I love what you're doing in the community. These are great deep dive discussions. This is the stuff that I love. We get little bites of people in little social media moments and stuff. I really love a deep dive conversation like this. It's so nice. So thank you for having me, friend.
It is such a pleasure. And thank you so much for being here.